Welcome, and today I am playing in the Kranvagn. This is a Swedish tier 10 heavy tank that features a wonderful gun, a 410 EP Alpha with a 3-shell auto-reloading magazine where there are only 2.7 seconds reload time between shots. Now this tank doesn't have a lot of damage per minute at 2600, but you can make it work as long as you hit your shells. One very noticeable thing about this tank is that you lose time after shooting the second shell. So I would just recommend shooting on the third shell if you can, and never shooting the first shell, unless you're getting a kill, or it's very important, or either that, or you know you're not gonna shoot another shell in the next 20 seconds. Now this tank used to have the standard APCR shell at 410 alpha, and it's now recently been changed for the better. But it also used to have 375 heat penetration at some point, so I think in this case it's definitely better because it has more alpha than before, but a bit less overall penetration. But I mean, you're not going to use the heat shell very often as long as you use the reticle calibration. This is a really important consumable because it allows you to hit shells from far away and to ensure that all your shells hit the tank. Now I also use the improved engine power boost because it allows you to reverse at 25 kilometers per hour, which saves you a lot of trouble. If you don't want to fight if you don't want to go into a fight, then you just use this and you get out of the fight very easily. Now this makes the tank very prone to being tracked in the open, as you're not allowed to use the repair kits. You only have a multi-purpose restoration pack. So I would definitely recommend to use only 2 consumables if you're stronger overall. Otherwise, you might just as well use reticular calibration or improve engine power boost, one of the two, combined with the multi-purpose and the repair kit. Now I recently 3-marked the tank. I'm not the best at it, but I can say I'm quite okay. And I'm going to show you a couple games which I've played in the tank. Let's start with this one. So this is a very short mastery game. It's very surprising because the Kran doesn't have a lot of damage per minute, so you would think in 3 minutes. It's kind of hard to get a mastery in the Kran, right? Well, you're gonna see. This is a very good map for the Kranvagn because you're allowed to poke the ridgeline and shoot tanks that are below. So let's see what is against us. There is a Bachat relay 60 TP, a rinoceronte. So right off the bat, they have a deficit. Well, it's a first shot. Here I don't use the reticular calibration because I'm not sure I will be able to shoot other shells. And now this TVP just pokes and we just kill him. And thanks to that I get a lot of assisted damage. And you're gonna see this is how I get the mastery badge. It's because of the assisted damage. I've already spotted 4 tanks so far. And this allows me to get a lot of assistance damage and spotting attention. Now here you can see I don't shoot the second shell, instead I reload the third shell before shooting. And this allows me to now have 1 additional shell to work with in the magazine. Now I'm gonna wait for this rinoceronte to overpoke. Here I wasn't sure he was going to poke farther up, because he already shot once right here. So I wasn't sure if he was gonna poke farther up, but he did indeed do. So I was able to get a nice 2 shells into him. And here I noticed that our heavy tank is in a 1v2, and the enemy tanks are overpoking this, so I can very easily just put on super speed boosts and clip out this WZ. Now I'm gonna do a thing. I'm not gonna clip out, but I'm gonna use the nice DPM. Because it's a 2v2, but we have a tank that hasn't got a lot of HP, I'm gonna reload the third shell just to ensure I have the most DPM. And this actually allows me to not receive any damage from this third WZ113, whereas if I had clipped him, he might have got a shell into me while I was reloading the third shell. So here I actually clipped him at last because I knew it would kill him, and basically I would ensure myself not to get hit by him back. And now I just kill the 60 TP because he's the last tank alive. So you can see how the Kranvagn was really useful. The gun was really useful, and how I utilized the positioning. They're going 2v1, 2v2 against the heavy tanks. And how the reticle calibration allowed me to hit. Well, did I use the reticle calibration? No, I didn't. Oh well, we're gonna see other games where I use the reticle calibration quite usefully. Now this game on Faust is quite useful to see the positioning, how we can use an overall any hold down tank that has a lot of armor and that is a heavy tank. So the Kranvagn features a lot of frontal armor, especially turret armor, which allows, you can just hide the hull and poke only the gun to shoot at the enemies. And you're gonna see how, so basically I take this position, and because of the bush, they have a harder time hitting my weak spots, which there are some heavy spots, some weak spots. There are the hatches and also the main hull, which you can still hit at this angle, by the way. So here you can see, because I poked in the bush, I was able to already bounce 800 damage. And I'm going to bounce even more damage. Now I take a blind shot. Because I have my 3 shells loaded in, I know that I don't lose that much DPM as long as I shoot only the 3rd shell. And in fact I'm already reloaded and I haven't had any opportunities to shoot any other tanks. So it was definitely a nice idea. Now I see that we get pushed on our other flank. And I decided here to pull a bit more forwards, just so that I'm hidden here by this wall from other tanks. In fact, I get shot once, but I'm able to still hide from the other shots. Now I shoot this V405 to ensure on the 3rd shell, just to ensure he's a one-shot, and because I know I might not be able to get any other shells in the next 20 seconds, which in fact I was not able to. I might have been able to in the 452K, but now the F345 is one shot, so it was definitely useful to shoot in there. Now I'm gonna push on this flank, because I know that the round pounder is going to push us. And yeah, now you can see how I'll use the reticle calibration. If I didn't use it there, the HE wouldn't have penetrated. Here I do a bit of a mistake. I don't shoot any shells where I should have, just because I wanted to reload the 3rd shell. And I didn't think the round pounder would just run away because he had a lot of potential damage on me and the other tank here. But oh well, this is still going to be a win, so it doesn't matter. Now I see that on this flank, because the round pounder has moved up, we are in deficit, and also there is a lot of HP to potentially go through. So here I ensure a tracking shell into the 453K, just so I get some more resistance damage into him, and so that he can idly push our Super Conqueror. And in fact, getting the tracking shell allowed me to also get a 2nd shell into him. Now I don't see any enemy tanks, and they would have been spotted if they poked there. But so I assume I can push up. And here the ramp has again spotted, and I don't especially want to push up, just because of this VK who has potential shots on me if I push up. So I'm just gonna put one shell into him, and as I just told, you have the most EPM if you shoot only on your third shell. So I don't eat through the clip here. Here I missed a shell, so I'm just thinking, okay, well I need to kill him. They're one shot, right? Here I hide away from the VK. He wasn't able to shoot me just because it has so much the Kran has so much armor. So you can definitely see in this game I have a lot of bounces, a lot of missed shells, and I don't shoot. Even here I shoot into the ground, which I shouldn't have. I could have had the kill into the grille directly. But despite all of these misses, I still get a win, and I still get nearly 4,000 damage and 600 assisted, just because the Crown has this wonderful clip combined with the mobility consumable and the reticle calibration. This makes the Kranvagn a super strong tank. So here I shoot on the third shell, just because I know that the Rampazer is a one-shot anyways. So I don't need to eat through I don't need to reload my shells before that. I mean, I can already kill the Rampazer now if he pokes up. And I decide to cap, just because there's only 2 minutes left. And even though it's a 3v1, the Rampazer has just so much mobility that I'm not sure I will catch up to him. And basically we win this game on cap. And I get about around 4,000 damage. So this was a really nice game to see where the reticle calibration accessory was useful to hit those sneaky shots. Now this is the third mark game, which I played on Lagoon. Lagoon is a wonderful map for the Kranvagn, just because there are so many hold down spots. Overall, Lagoon is a very skill dependent map. It's a map that you don't need, as long as you have an okay team, not a too bad team, you're gonna do just fine, because the map is quite big and you have a lot of sneaky spots that you can know of. For example, this one where I'm gonna shoot at right in just a second. So if you don't know, that bush which I just shot into is a very useful light beginning bush where they can just poke and shoot you at if you cross. But so I didn't get spotted right here, so this tells me there's no light in that bush. And here I see that the rhinoceronte moved up. This is a good position for the rhinoceronte, but it's not the best, just because you're in the middle of the map and the rhinoceronte doesn't have the best mobility. Now, this 93-1 just made a misplay and killed himself basically. Now I wasn't suspecting this Yo to poke here, because I thought, well, it's already been 1 minute, so he would have poked earlier, right? But anyway, I took a couple of shells here. This was a mistake. I should have stayed back just 10 seconds more to ensure I wouldn't take a shell from the Yo. But even though I made this mistake, I still have 1600 HP. This also goes to show how the 2600 HP of the Kranvagn is very useful. Now this T-57 Heavy made an even more mistake, even worse than mine, because he doesn't have much armor, right, against me at least. So I'm unable to shoot him. And here you're gonna see, because I haven't clipped out this Rhino yet, I'm just doing it now. I am reloading on the third shell, which allows me to get more damage per minute. And here I go back, just to bait the rhinoceronte. This also is part of the skill. You want to bait people in the Kranvagn, just because you don't have because you have this wonderful clip. I baited both the Rhino Charante, one shell onto him, and also the Yo. I was able to get more damage into them. They were more impatient than I was. Now, I shoot this last shell on the Rhino because he's basically only 1000 HP, and I wouldn't have got any more damage into him anyways. Now this tortoise has quite a bit of armor, you're gonna see. If I switch to heat, I can pen him more reliably, so I'm gonna do that. And I'm not gonna shoot the last shell just because I want to farm damage. And I know that if I shoot 2 shells into the 268 here, it's more damage than clearing the tortoise, basically. Now this 268 isn't the most skilled player, just because it pokes up here, it gets trapped, and shoot into the ground. Oh well, what you gonna do? At least I got a skill team, right? And anyway, I got 5000 damage and the 3rd mark with this game. So you can definitely see how the armor combined with the mobility and the, the consumables allow this tank to work its gun to a wonder. Now this tank also uses a lot of cooldown boosters just because you want these consumables to go back very quickly. So you definitely want to run this consumable delivery system just to ensure that the multi-purpose restoration pack that you get the cooldown for this one is faster basically. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is how I play the Kranvagn basically. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.